All right, go ahead.
Okay, let's do it. Good morning, everybody. It's
Morning.
June the 11th, and we're on our mindset call, which is our Friday call. And before I get into that, I'd like to just always go into my little mantra about the slaughterhouse of failure is not in my destiny. I will persist until I succeed. Og Mandino. So today, Dan and I decided that we're going to have a little, could be an interchange with everybody as well. If everybody's eventually got some questions or anything, if you'd like to add. But what we're going to do is we're just going to talk a little bit about what we have, understanding what we have, why we have it, and because what we have, if we really know what we have, it'll give us an attitude of security on what we're talking about, and gives us that little feeling of wow. I'm extremely excited about where we are right now. We got this brand new product coming out, which is the collagen. But what have we actually got? And how are we doing our business, and who is it aimed at, and for whom is it intended, and for what purpose? So basically, those are the three questions: understanding what we've got, for whom it's intended, and for what purpose. So we're going to get into that a little bit.
And we're gonna talk a little bit about how we introduce these different aspects of the business to our one second. How we introduce these different aspects to different. Hold on, I'm going to mute everybody here.
Welcome to.
How we introduce this to different types of physicians, what their interest levels are. And so for me, the first thing I look at it is, what type of physician am I talking to? It doesn't really matter so much what their specialty is, because we've got something for everybody. It more matters what their mindset is. And so there's 4 different colors of doctors or prospects that we're trying to reach. And 2 of them I think are good targets, and 2 of them I think are not. So the blue prospect or physician is one who's more analytical. They're looking for studies. Do we have double placebo blind studies? Do we have peer-reviewed studies? Do we have something for them that we can offer to introduce this to them? The second is the yellow. They're the more amicable doctors. They want to be friends with everybody. They don't want to hurt anybody's feelings by telling them no. So they kind of string you along and want to keep everybody happy and think that they have a shot at getting some of their business. And then you have the green doctor, which is the earthy type doctor who just wants to do what's best for everybody. And they're kind of the crunchy granola kind of doctors who kind of think outside the box and are looking at doing what's best for the patient. And then you have the reds. The reds are who I think are probably our top prospect. And those are the businessmen. They run the practice. They have control over the practice. They understand everything about their practice and about business, especially as it pertains to them. And so they're the ones that are more interested in the WIFM, what's in it for me. So, we have something for those doctors as well. So first question I want to ask you, Lawrence, is if we are calling on a practice and we kind of are talking to the physician and they turn out to be a blue analytical physician, how do you kind of introduce the scanner program to somebody who wants to look at studies and things along those lines? What are the studies that you use the most? How do you talk to them? How do you introduce what we have?
So I think that's actually a pretty cool question. I purposely try not to know too much about any subject, because it's too easy to get into a conversation with the doctor who's a specialist in his field. And if we start getting a little bit too knowledgeable, we get into a discussion, we get into the weeds, we get into the whole scientific thing. And obviously we will never know as much as that particular physician in his or her field. So I like to know just enough to pique the interest of the doctor, so that he can then say, well, what about this or what about that? And I say, great question. Here we go. Let me find you the studies. And if you want any more information about that, we know who to call, 1-800-487, and we'll look for a specialist in that field. But there's studies for everything, for all kinds of specialties. And so the question is the answer is to be able to find where the information is and not try and, answer the dentist about all his technical stuff or the cardiologist about the technical questions, scientific questions that he or she may have. So it's just to know enough to pique their interest, and then to get them to ask for more information, which is then they're asking for it. So now we've got a conversation going.
Yeah, and I 100% agree with that. So, we need to know where this information is, what the information is, and how we can get it to them, right? So we have the 10-year Yale study, we have Dr. Katie's white paper, and a number of other things that we can point them towards in relation to validating the science of the biophotonic scanner. And then some of our products, we have product videos with some of the scientists like Tanner Gibb explaining the product features and benefits. And then we also have a broad literature overview of disease correlations. If you go to pubmed.gov, this is a very powerful slide, and it kind of reaches into a bunch of different healthcare provider sectors or specialties. And so we have something for everyone. We can, if it's a particular physician and he's a orthopedic surgeon, for instance, we can pull up, pubmed.gov and look at joint pain, rheumatoid arthritis, surgical recovery. If we have a pain management doctor, we can look at pain and the correlations between carotenoids, antioxidants, and oxidative stress. Cancer, obviously, it's a huge one. But these are all some of the resources with that particular physician type that we're going to look at providing to them.
Leave that up, Dan. Dan, leave that up for a minute, please.
Okay, hold on one second. So this is a very useful tool.
Yeah, and in fact, look at the difference from 2017 to 2020, the number of studies that have increased in all of these different specialties. And I think this is one of the most important slides that we have. I have this absolutely everywhere when I have a conversation with any healthcare. The first thing I talk about is 70% of non-communicable diseases are preventable, such as cardiovascular, hypertension, diabetes type 2, lots of cancers. So then they say, oh, well, that embarks every physician. And then I say, for example, a few months ago, we had an interview with Dr. Lewis Cady, who incidentally wrote a white paper, as Dan just mentioned. And we asked him, why would a psychiatrist be interested in antioxidants? And he said, well, go to pubmed.org and put in their Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, autism, and check how many papers there are. So that's what we did. And then we've discovered all these other papers in there too. And we said, oh my gosh, look at this. Cancer, 60,000 papers. These are studies. Each study could have between 50 and 1,000 people. So, we start looking into all of these surgical recovery. How's that important? 1,200 studies, 1,300 studies. Well, the higher the level of antioxidants, the quicker the healing of the wounds. Diabetes. In fact, diabetes is one missing there because it's about 35,000 studies. The new ones, 24,000. Diabetes. That's one of the biggest problems we've got in America, and that embarks with nutrition, overweight, pain, diabetes type 2, obviously. So, I mean, we look at all of these different afflictions, and you can go to pubmed.org and put any affliction and then antioxidant next to it. So this is, for me, one of the Rosetta Stones of being able to get into speaking with the doctors, because there's something in there for everybody. Every doctor will find something in pubmed.org. So the doctor that wants to have more studies, baby, there you go, knock yourself out, and we can send you some more as well.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with any of this stuff, I want to encourage everybody to get on PubMed.org or .gov, I'm sorry, and kind of play around with the numbers and the different search criteria. And you can either use this particular graph or you can formulate your own. But know where all of our tools are for this type of physician, the blue physician who's more analytical. Know where the studies are. Know where our YouTube channel is, so that you can pull up product videos, testimonials with physicians, things along those lines, because those are all the tools that you're going to be wanting to use with this type of physician. Now, the next two types of physicians, we probably don't want to spend a lot of time with. I don't think they're really good targets, and I didn't target them when I was in medical device sales. The yellow, which is the more amicable physician, they want to be friends with everybody and don't want to really hurt anyone's feelings. And then the green, the earthy type doctor. Those are two types that I don't think are really, really good targets for us with what we're doing. But they still they can still be useful, right? We can still network with them and find out who's in their network and find out who they know and who we can introduce this technology to. So I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about those, but the reds are the businessmen. They're the guys that run their practice. They have a hand in running their practice. They don't just turn it over to the nurse or the practice manager. They know what's going on in their practice. They know what their bottom line is, and they want to drive revenue. And so those are really, really good targets for us. And we have everything that they need as well. They're more interested in what's in it for them. So we want to talk about the money. We want to talk about how we can help those physicians educate their patients, how we can help them help their patients become healthier. And so, the number one tool for probably these physicians is the income projection spreadsheet. So I think that's a super powerful tool for these particular physicians because we can punch in their numbers based on their practice, how many patients they see in a day or in a week or in a month, in a year, and we can plug in and give them real numbers that if they are interested in implementing this program into their practice and doing what's best for their patients while also making some revenue for their practice, we can show them what their potential income can be from implementing this program. So very important. They're also going to be, a subset of them are going to be interested in the studies. And so we have something for them as well. How do you approach those physicians, Lawrence, who are more interested in it and what's in it for them?
Well, that's actually the bread and butter, and it's the most exciting. Why? Because those are ones that have are one of two types. They're either very ambitious or they've got a lot of pain. If they, and I look at the pain part, the ones who what's in it for them is because, we then take out a samurai and stick it into the wound and dig it around until it really hurts to say, you're seeing how many? 30 patients a day, 35 patients a day. That's ridiculous. You cannot possibly have an intelligent conversation with 30 people every day without getting burnt out. So now we're starting to feel sorry for them, and we're telling them, and we feel sorry for them. And I understand why you see 30 people a day, because insurance is a problem, reimbursements is a problem, electronic records takes up half your time. So I understand you've got to see more and more. You're on this treadmill and you're working for the insurance company and you're holding up the hospitals, the insurance company, the patient, and it's all on your shoulders. So, wow, I understand, that you have to see more and more patients. And I think that's so sad, because you're not giving the patient the attention he or she really needs, because in 8 minutes, you can't really do that. So obviously, we're trying to help you solve a problem. And the way we can do that is a doctor's got three problems. He's got a problem of time. He's got a problem, he or she's got a problem of time, got a problem of money and of stress. Stress is a consequence of the first two. So what we say is, obviously, if there's some way that we have the solution for you to be able to add significant income to your practice by a minimal amount of time involved, that would give you even the possibility of working one day less. Would you like an extra day less in a month to be able to, or in a week or in a month, depending on your volume, to be able to be with your family? And of course, they're going to say, what? Say yes. You show them the spreadsheet and say, look, here's an additional by 5 patients a day, 1 on a supplement, with a 20% attrition or an 80% retention and an 80% attrition, you'd still make over $50,000-$60,000 a year. Put 2 patients on, you're making $100,000 a year. Does that help you? Damn right. So that's where the spreadsheet comes in, and that's the wow.
That, there's a lot of physicians that are in this kind of dilemma of how do they make more money? How do they keep the lights on as reimbursements come down? And all of these things, the time, the money, these all things, the stress, it all leads to burnout eventually. And so what we need to get those physicians to start thinking about is how do they maximize the revenue from their existing patient population? I'm friends with a lot of chiropractors on Facebook, and just about every day there's somebody's running a webinar on how to add more patients to your practice, right? And so that just keeps the hamster wheel going. The more patients they add, the less time they have, the more stress they have, all of those things. So, with our program, I believe we can actually help these physicians with the existing patient population they have if they create a brand for themselves where they're actually showing the patients how to become healthier, that they've got their patient's best interest at hand, and showing them how to be healthier and prevent disease. They can actually use their existing patient population to increase their revenue very, very significantly without adding to that time and stress factor. So I think that's the conversation that I have with a lot of physicians. The other conversation that I have with a lot of physicians is they're not really thinking long-term. They're not thinking about retirement, especially the younger physicians. They're thinking about how they can pay off their student loans, right? They come out of medical school with $400,000, $500,000 in student loans. And this is a business that they can help create some additional revenue to help mitigate some of that debt. But we can also talk to the older physicians who are getting nearer to retirement or starting to think about retirement, about, look, you've spent your entire career serving people in your community, right? And the day you hang up your white coat, all of that goes, all that revenue, all that trust, all that, all that time you spent cultivating these relationships with your patients can be better spent helping them to become healthier, A, and B, creating an income stream for you even into retirement. So the conversation I have with them is what happens to all that revenue? What happens to this patient population that you cultivated over your 25 or 30-year career? The day you hang up your white coat, all that revenue goes to the wayside, and you've got to solely rely on Social Security and your 401k or retirement that you've set aside. And is that going to be enough? You never know if that's going to be enough. And so I get them starting to think about the future, get them starting to the younger physicians thinking about the present and the debt and how we can help mitigate that debt. And so I think it's important to kind of change the mindset or help change the mindset or get these physicians thinking about the present and the future rather than the past or what's going on today.
And that thing about the student loan, that is something very impactful. There's a Dr. David Rosenberg who made a presentation some years ago, and he was very proud. He was showing us the graduation of his son, and he was pictured there at the university with his son and his wife and his daughter, and he was saying, here's my son and graduation, wow. And he said, that is the year that I finished paying for my student loan. Guy's 24 years old. And that's when I said, OMG, that really hit me, boom. And then he went on to talk about what he was doing. And he said, when I started doing Pharmanex 4 years ago, I was able to pay for my son's college education. It's actually 5 years that it took him to pay for his son's education in 5 years, instead of him taking 20 something years to pay for his. So that's relevant, very relevant. Yeah? This thing about this time, looking to the future. And the other thing is that also to differentiate yourself. You said, to be able to offer your patients something more than just, just the gynecological or the ophthalmological visit. You're talking about health in general. Like, Dr. Miron was talking about the dentists. He was saying, the dentists are very focused on the teeth and the mouth, but they don't realize that it's about the whole body. Everything in the body goes through the mouth. So it's about preventive medicine. It's about wellness. It's about Get Healthy USA. It's a whole incorporation of a lot of things. And if it helps the doctor differentiate himself or herself from everybody else, then people, the word of mouth goes out. Oh, the doctor, he's also knowledgeable on health in general, even though you went to go and get your foot, you stubbed your toe, but by the way, the doctor will talk to you about health as well. And it was very interesting. So you're right. It's a much bigger picture on that.
Yep. Absolutely. So there's a couple of questions in the chat. Jim Trainer had one. Isn't changing their mindset a long time consuming approach? You pursue it only up to a point so you don't overinvest in possible dead end. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time trying to change their mindset. I'm just going to give them my thoughts on how they should change that mindset without, saying, I want to change your mindset. Just get them thinking about these things so that in their mind, the wheels get turning, like, hey, maybe this guy might be right. Maybe, I need to start looking at different forms of revenue. Maybe I need to look at a way to, help pay off my student loans sooner, and those are just the conversations that I have with them to get them thinking about, how they're going to approach these problems in the present and in the future. So I'm not going to give them it's exactly. Jane just put into the chat, give them food for thought. That's all I'm doing is making them think about it, because they're so busy in their daily activities, seeing patients, dealing with insurance companies, that they're not even thinking about this stuff. And so, we need to give them that food for thought. So it's not a long, drawn out process, but you get them thinking about it, and they may not come around right away. They may come around, in the future, but at least, you're moving them forward, right? And that's something that you can follow up with them on later. So there's another question in here, Lawrence. I'll let you answer this one. What do you say when the response is, I'm maxed out already? I can't add another thing. Everybody is already too busy.
Love it. Doc, that's exactly why you need this. That's exactly why you need this. Because you're so maxed out, you're on a treadmill. What are you going to do next year? You're going to see another 5 patients to be able to pay for your insurance. I mean, to get the reimbursements and the insurance and the payments for that. You're going to have to see another 5 patients a day. No, the whole point is you got to try and see less patients, be more effective, help them better in a better way, and make more money. That's what we're offering. We're offering you a solution. We're trying to help you find a way, which we have, to be able to see less patients more effectively and add income to your practice. That solves 3 problems. It'll help you with time, it'll help you with money, and it'll help with your patients, and obviously less stress.
Awesome. That's a great way to have that conversation. So we're running up on 10 o'clock here. So Lawrence, I think we've given people a lot of food for thought, along with talking them how to give the physicians food for thought. So let's open it up for a few questions and see if anybody has any feedback that they can give us.
All's quiet on the Eastern Front there, and the Western Front too. I don't know what's happening.
I was going to ask, the color coding system, did that come from something called Codebreaker Technologies, or is that just something that you guys are using?
No, I actually just found that. Interestingly enough, I was watching a documentary about Purdue Pharmaceuticals and their head sales rep, who became the chief of sales at another pharmaceutical company. That's the color coding that he used. And so I kind of brought that from a documentary that I watched.
Gotcha.
So that color coding is actually based on a broader context of what salespeople have experienced with doctors then.
Essentially, yes.
Because it kind of threw me, you know. I always have thought, well, the doctors that really care about their patients would be great prospects. And you're saying, no, you really want the ones that are focused on really kind of what's in it for me. Where could I make some more money?
That's I think that's our number one focus, to be honest with you. You know, I don't want to say they're going to be the easiest prospect, but they're going to be the ones that are going to at least listen to what we have to say and let us introduce it to them first and foremost.
I think what's important is if we can, the person that's what's in it for me, as I say, there are either two possibilities. One, he's suffering, he's pain, he's got pain because he doesn't have enough time for his family or her family, or greedy. If he's greedy, that's really unfortunate. But he's probably just what's in it for me because I've got a problem. I need to be with my family. I want to make more money so that I can be with them time-wise. So the touchy-feeling guys are obviously people that are, you know, if you look at, let's be objective. Sometimes you look at, well, I used to go and see the clinics out here and you'd see someone with a leak in the roof and a stain from the leak, or the carpets that were looking a bit, unfortunate, and the furniture that had some dents in it. Well, that obviously, that clinic, the guy's not making enough money. I mean, he's hurting. So he's probably spending way too much time with each patient and not thinking about himself in the bottom line. I'm just trying to analyze the thing. So we've got to try and understand the person. It's all about the person we're talking to. Everything is about the person we're talking to. How can we help solve their problem? How can we help solve their issues? And we have the way.
Right. So
you know, Lawrence,
what's in it for me doesn't necessarily have to be financial. It can be, you know, they want to spend more time with their family. It may be those doctors that want to really help their patients, but don't have a great way to really help their patients, you know, and we have something that we can help them become healthier and hopefully prevent disease. Sorry, Jim, for cutting off.
You know, I felt the more money I make from this program, the more people I'm helping. So you could even take a doctor that has a what's in it for me, and maybe it carries a negative connotation with him, but if he implements our program, indeed, the end game is helping more of his patients.
Exactly.
Sure. Absolutely.
Hey guys, I know you said that slide and all that information can be found on PubMed, but where can we get the slide that's been updated by Dr. Moore that has, you know, the one that you used today in the PowerPoint? Where can we find that?
Hold on a second. I'm going to try and drop it into the chat if I can.
I have one that's updated without the old information, but I've got one.
I can't, for some reason, this isn't allowing me to drop it into the chat. We can post that on the HCA page and you'll be able to grab it off of there.
Great, thank you. Thanks.
Actually, if you want, you could take a picture of, I've got one that's updated, but it's just the updated one. Can you see this?
You can take a screenshot of that, is what he's saying.
Take a screenshot, that's what I'm trying.
Yeah, but I gotta get all of you.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll just post it. We'll just post it.
Okay.
The one with the increased number of studies makes a point, you know, of look how this is continuing just in the last 3 years. There's much interest in this, you know.
Exactly. It's much more effective.
All right. Well, okay. Lawrence, it's 10:02, 10:03. If we don't have any other questions or comments, we'll wrap it up for today.
Hold on, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Bye-bye.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
everyone.
much.
Great poll.
Bye.